What's up, everybody? This is your boy DC Black coming to you yet again with another video. I am here to do my review of the movie Eternals, as you guys can see up there. Um, Eternals. This is a Marvel movie that actually came out. I saw it last night. I'm just getting to my review just because of the fact that when I got in, it was super late, and I actually just went to see another movie today. I am here now to review Eternals. And Eternals was that movie. Let me see this because it's doing a little weird. All right, there we go. That looks a little weird. Okay, so Eternals. This is one of the Marvel movies that everybody was looking forward to because this was another out of the box movie. Nobody was expecting a movie about Eternals. Just like no one was expecting to see Guardians of the Galaxy because they were just a very obscure team that nobody really cared about, but now everybody cares about them. And lightning struck a bottle. Marvel had got lightning in a bottle with Guardians of the Galaxy, but they were going to see, hey, can we go to the well twice and grab someone from some team from obscurity and use them in with Eternals. And I will say this. This movie is not like a traditional Marvel film. It's not like Shang-Chi at all, though it is a origin film. It is also not an origin film at the same time. Um, this is complicated because here's my problem with Eternals. One of my problems. Eternals kind of had the same problem that Dune had. My review of Dune is going to be somewhere up over at the top of the video. Um, and maybe I'll do a compare and contrast with Dune in this because there are some similarities between what was done with Dune and what was done here, but there was a stark difference. And I'll maybe do that maybe I'll talk about that in just a moment. But what Eternals was about. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, so I'm just going to kind of give you a basic synopsis of it. Eternals was about a group of individuals that came to Earth a long time ago. That was brought here basically by a celestial. And this celestial was the one that essentially got this one. The celestial was basically the person that brought them to the planet, and they were supposed to protect humanity against the deviants who were here. And that's going to be all I kind of tell you about that about the movie to avoid spoilers. This movie is almost 3 hours. It's 2.5 hours long. If you count the post credit scenes, the mid credit and post credit scene, this movie is about almost about 2 hours and 40 minutes. Actually, no, there's 2 hours and 37 minutes as is. The movie's probably about almost 3 hours long. It's almost 3 hours long. It's a quarter. It's 25 minutes outside of being 3 hours. And this movie was it boring? No, the story was actually kind of interesting. The story was actually kind of interesting. Um, but the characters themselves is where I had the problem. Because just like Doom, I didn't care about any of the Eternals. I didn't care about any of them. The comic, I'm gonna be honest. I have only my knowledge of the Eternals, comic book wise, is very little, just because they're a boring group of characters. Most of them are completely OP, and like if and Dane Whiteman, I think his name is, that Kit Harington plays in this movie. He asked a very important question in the movie, which was, okay, if y'all are this powerful, why didn't y'all stop Thanos when he first showed up? Why didn't you guys do any of the other things that you guys did before or any other human atrocity? Why didn't you stop it? And that has always been my problem with the Eternals, that the Eternals are so overpowered that there's no reason why anything should go wrong on Earth because they're just that powerful. Like you're not beating them. It's very few people in it's very few Marvel characters that can actually stand up to an Eternal and win that fight, especially Icarus. You're not beat like most characters are not beating Icarus. Period. Uh, but that's kind of my problem with them. They're very overpowered, and then they're also very one-dimensional characters. And in this movie, the characters are kind of like that. They're very boring. They're they're it's just there's nothing that makes you latch onto a character and make you care about them. I'm gonna tell you now, like this movie, it does a lot of jumping to kind of explain some stuff, but there's still not anybody there that you really care about where if something happens to them you're invested in that character. There's nothing that really makes you invested in the character at all. um like I said, the story is interesting. It's a very artistic film. I was describing this to someone and I was telling them, I said, this is a very artistic film. Chloe Zhao shot this movie and it looks absolutely gorgeous. There's this one scene where the character Icarus is looking out into like the desert and it looks spectacular. Like it is an amazing visual. But just the way this just the story, just the characters that are in this story, it's like I didn't care. Like I was in the theater and I think I was surrounded by some other people as well, and they were just not really invested in the characters. I didn't really hear anybody be like, "Oh, yeah." Like I didn't hear anybody that really looked at this and thought, "Oh, wow, I care about these characters." Now to get to another point that I have about this movie, which was another thing I kind of didn't like, was the fact that there was there were a lot. How can I say this? I don't want to spoil it. So how can I say this? There were a lot of things that this movie had gave you questions for certain things, especially with the post credit scene, because I feel like, well, not the post credit, the mid credit scene, especially with the mid credit scene, because the mid credit scene introduces a character, or shows you something that it makes you question what happened in Infinity War. I'll just leave it at that. It makes you question what happened in Infinity War, and I think, and either one or two things: either they're gonna retcon what was said in Infinity War by Thanos, or they're gonna have to explain why this thing or why this happened. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I didn't like I said, I didn't care about these characters really. I wasn't really invested that much. Um I wasn't invested with these characters because I knew that they were too powerful and there was no way you were going to keep these characters on the board because they was just too freaking strong. Like they were way too strong. And to keep these strong characters on the board while having everything else happen, like Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness, you can't do that and those problems can't be around if you got like Eternals that's just in your side in your side pocket, and they just they there, but all this other stuff is happening on Earth and they just refuse to do anything. It's kind of hard to and that's kind of my problem with it. It's just like you go into this movie understanding eventually as you watch it that they're way too powerful to be kept on the chessboard that long. um this also is like I said, this isn't like a regular this isn't like other Marvel movies. This very much is a thinking man's Marvel movie. Like because there's a lot of philosophical questions and a lot of philosophical ideas that are brought up as certain characters have different conversations, especially about humanity. There are a lot of Christian allegories in this also. It's really like you spot them from a mile away. There's a lot of Christian allegories here with this, and it's interesting that Chloe Zhao because she had a hand in writing this as well. It's very interesting that she chose a lot of these Christian motifs when it comes down to this movie. It's very interesting. Even the movie opens, the way the movie opens is directly out of the Bible. It's kind of crazy. And it was jarring because I wasn't expecting that at all. So so that's kind of story wise. Was there some things that surprised me? Yes. There is one thing that okay, so this okay, I'm gonna say this. This you might think this is a mild spoiler, but this was said in the trailer already. So if you really if you don't want to hear this, I'll do this when you want to bring you back. But I'll just say this. Mild spoiler, 3, 2, 1. Superman and Star Wars exist in the MCU, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm waving my hands. I'm done. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I'm pretty much I'm kind of on the fence with this movie because I don't really I understand what this movie was trying to do, but it was just 3 hours. I feel like honestly, the Eternals should have been a limited series on Disney Plus. It could have been a limited series on Disney Plus. Still did the same stuff, and it would have worked because it also would have had given you time to explore the characters, which they don't give you time to. They have to come together, then they have to do the thing, but they don't really give you time to explore all of the characters. You only get to explore two, maybe three characters at most. But there's what 3, 6, 9, 10 Eternals. Like it's really hard. It's one of those things. It's really hard to really hard to do that, and you don't, and try to do that in a movie, and you only got a certain amount of time to do it. So there's a lot of things happen. Also, there's going back to the story, there were a lot of things that happened. There was a lot of things in this movie where there was a twist, but when the twist happened, I felt like at that point I was watching Injustice. I'll just say that. I felt like I was watching Injustice or playing the Injustice video game. Because the stuff that happened, I seen it before. And you could make and certain and especially with the characters that were around and involved in the fight, it was a lot of it was a lot of injustice. It reminded me of Injustice a lot. Like I said, the character you don't really get to explore the characters that much. And the little exploration you get is just like man, you really don't care about them. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This I heard someone say this is like their favorite Marvel film. I guess. I don't see how, but I get it. Like, it's definitely not gonna be my favorite. This is kind of like of a middle of the road movie for me. Like I was talking to somebody, I talked to my wife and I said like, me and her can go see it. But would I go with some friends to watch it? Maybe. Actually, I might go with one friend to go see this movie just to see their response to this film because this one friend is a very philosophical person, so I would be very interested to see what he thinks of this movie and his thoughts. Yeah, so this movie was so up until the mid and post credit scenes. Oh my gosh. All right. So this is what I've been waiting to talk about this entire time. Uh this movie might have been so, but the mid and post credits were not. I understand why they when going to they had a viewing for this movie in I think it was in Los Angeles and at a film festival and they did not show the post credit scene, the mid and post credit scenes. I completely understand that because oh my gosh, those two scenes, I'm not going to give them away, but I will say those two teams set up some really major stuff. And I think we're getting, and especially with the post credit, I think we're getting that much closer to seeing the X Men. Just that much closer to seeing the X Men. Um, Even especially with the Deviants, like the X Men. If I'm not mistaken, the X Men actually come from the Deviants. So it's not impossible that we will get the X-Men very soon. Like it's the groundwork is being laid so that mutants show up. Um but yeah, this don't maybe I'll do a post credits. Maybe I'll do another video that's just talking about the mid and post credit scenes. Tell me down below if you want me to talk about that because man, I would love to talk about that because when I watched it, especially the mid credit one, I lost it. I completely lost it because they really reached back and grabbed some obscure characters and had them show up, and I was like, whoa, that's freaking cool. So yeah, that's my review for it. What would I give this movie? I would probably give this movie like a B minus, and that's really being generous because I'm almost at that C plus range. Actually, only reason why I can't give it a C plus is because this movie visually looks really freaking good, but I don't care about the characters. Like I'm gonna give this actually. What would I grade this movie? If I was to grade this movie, what would my grade be? I'm gonna probably give it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna give it a B minus. Like B minus. Actually, oh yeah. See, okay. As a Marvel movie, I don't know. I will give it a split grade, but my average grade I would probably give it was like a C plus. It is a C plus. It's okay for me. It was an okay movie. It didn't blow me away. The mid and post credit scene that sent me to the moon. But the movie itself, it didn't. It really didn't. It was a cool movie. It was fine. But I knew I wasn't expect I went in not really expecting much, and I didn't really get much. It wasn't bad, but it didn't blow me away either. It was just fine. Like it was a very vanilla movie. There were things in it there were things like I said there was things that were hinted at was interesting, especially with the mid and post credit scenes. But other than that, I'm not really feeling this movie at all. Uh, but like I said, this is one of those movies where I would be very interested to see, especially with them, with seeing what they do with the Eternals. Because I think that'll kind of be the ultimate determiner if this movie really matters, in my opinion. Because if they don't, because like I said, these are very powerful characters. If they don't really do nothing with them, then what was the point in really introducing them? I have a theory on why they introduced them, but I'll kind of save that for another day and talk about it. But with my comparison to kind of wrap this up, kind of my comparison with Doom, this movie had a beginning, middle, and end, and Doom did not. Doom did not have a beginning, middle, and end at all. Doom was a hot mess, story wise. It just did not have a begin. It had a Doom had a beginning, middle, and then that middle just continued. And just when it was off, you were still in the middle. You were like, all right. But this movie had a beginning, had a middle, and it concluded. So I will definitely say I see why people can compare it to Doom, but at the end of the day, this is I would take Eternals over Doom. Um, but both of them are just okay movies. Yeah, I will probably have because I will probably have it at a C plus. I think I would have this at a C plus. B minus C plus. That's kind of where I'm kind of sitting at right there in that little range. I would probably say the art in this, how it's shot, will probably shoot it up to a B minus for me. Um, C plus B minus for me. But other than that, nah. So that's gonna be it because I don't want to ramble on. If you guys like this video, this review, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Tell me what you think about the Eternals down below. No spoilers. And yeah, I will see you guys when I see you guys. Peace.